not met in person yet. She lives across the globe from me. I am in Detroit. This lovely, lovely lady is in South Africa, and you will hear from her amazing, her voice is just, for those of us who are stuck in the Midwest, it's like dreamy. So beyond her dreamy accent is her dreamy business. And she has gotten lots of different layers of her story. But today I want to welcome with open arms as we hear her story and more about where she's at today, Catherine Morehouse. Round of applause. Woohoo! Yay! So for those people that are meeting you for the first time, crazy, please tell them a little bit about how you got started in this crazy entrepreneurial world that we live in.
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me on live. So I got to say that one.
For setting it up.
And then, so I'm Catherine Morehouse, and I actually got started in a baby clothing business. That's what I did. Now, that's going to be very different to what I explain I do in just a moment. But I started out with a baby clothing business, and being in the entrepreneurial space, it can get pretty lonely and you can get pretty confused. And so I connected with a couple of people online in Facebook. One of those people was Lila Higgins. Sorry, yeah. My friend, I'm like thinking the Higgins creative, and I'm like, I'm trying to say what this is. And I joined her.
Not one of us hasn't had those moments.
Yeah, no, sorry, my brain just completely. Anyway, so I joined her group, the Wake to Make Tribe, at that time, and I just, obviously it was such a great place to connect with other people who were also makers, so creating things, trying to run their businesses and things like that. And she went away for a holiday, so she asked if I would take over the group for that week. And so I was like, yeah, I've never done this, but I'll do this. Super keen to do it. And I absolutely loved every second of it. And then when she got back, I just sent her a message because she'd said thank you and everything. So I was like, how can I help you? Is there anything else I can help you with? And then she was like, well, she's looking for a social media manager. And now, to preface this, we had spoken before that I studied marketing, I've studied business, and I obviously enjoy my own social media channels for my baby clothing business at the time. So she knew I was capable. So she kind of put that out there and was like, I'm not sure if you're interested in it, but I like what you've done with your stuff. So is that something you'd be interested in? And I was like, I don't know. I had never thought of it. But I mean, at this stage in the business, I had never thought that what I had studied, marketing, because I'd gone into traditional marketing, would be able to switch to a virtual situation. I was unaware of virtual assistants at the time. And so she had mentioned virtual assistant, social media manager. And I was like, well, let me look into this, still being new to the online space at that point. So I looked into it and I was like, well, why didn't I know about this before?
And so moments that we had, right? Like, I'm totally following the story. I've heard this story before. I love it. But I think everybody listening is going to go, yes, it's not just me that felt like I fell accidentally into this thing that I'm doing, but happen to love a lot.
Exactly. I know. And the crazy thing is exactly that. Like, you sort of seem to fall into everything that you end up doing. Like, whether you end up creating a course, you end up selling a product, you sell this service, you do this, you generally just fall into everything. Like, you got to get used to falling, I guess, in this journey. Hey, falling forward. So I looked into it, and she had mentioned social media manager. And so I was like, well, this is very interesting, and I may as well try it out. I wasn't certain that I wanted to do the baby clothing business forever. So I was open to options at that point. And so I took a look and I was like, well, let me get started. It's just one client, and I really love marketing. So it was a way for me to do both. And I wanted to see if it was something that I had skills in and I enjoyed and everything. And so I did. And that first month, I promise you, I don't even think I checked my email as much as I should have for that baby clothing business. I was like, unless I'm seeing something come in that I need to actually act on, I'm super focused on social media at this point. And I loved it. I absolutely loved every second of it. I actually worked double the amount of hours that I needed for her because I enjoyed it that much. And I was so blown away by this space and the industry and what I could do. So I just loved it. And I knew, like, this is definitely the direction I want to go in. And then 2 months later, I had 5 clients. So it kind of just jumped into something that I didn't expect. And I was just open to receiving at that point. I was like, yes, I will try everything. I don't know what stumble upon is, but I will figure it out. You know what I mean? Like,
And that's the key, is because you have that brain of, I will figure it out. Yeah. It always work. It will work out, which is so important. A lot of people come in saying, oh, I don't have this certificate, or I don't have this degree, but you don't, as long as you have the ability to figure it out, you can make it happen.
Exactly. And I mean, there's anytime you step into this entrepreneurial world, you're going to have things where you have to figure stuff out. You're not going to know how ConvertKit works. You're not even going to know that that exists before you enter this world. You know what I mean? And you're not going to know what a funnel is, or an email welcome sequence, or anything like that. Like WordPress plugins, what are you talking Spanish? Like, I don't understand. What is CSS? Do you mean I have to put HTML in? I'm like, I'm not a developer. But you figure that stuff out because you're like, I need to hide this image on my blog. You know? Yes. So you figure it out. So that was kind of the journey. So I started with 5 clients and got a couple more. And then it was about 6 months in where I realized I just loved Pinterest. And for me, it was the place that I could see longevity in the content that was on there. Because I was doing so much work for all my clients in terms of capturing their content and then putting it somewhere online, I could see the power of Pinterest at that point for their businesses. And because I was seeing all the social media channels and working on all of them, I felt like the effort I put into Pinterest just reaped so much more in terms of rewards than some of the other channels did. And I had mentioned to my husband, well, he wasn't my husband at that time, like way before, that if only I could pin for a living. Like, because I was obviously pinning for our wedding at that point. And I was like, if only I could pin as like my business or as a job, you know, and
So I want to reach out to the viewers here. If you are live or on the replay, type live or hashtag replay. But tell me, has that ever happened to you? Like that kind of foreshadowing? You're like, if I could only ... And then you live into it. This is so great. I love this story. I've not heard this part. Tell me more. If I could only pin for a living. Oh my gosh.
If only I could pin for a living. And we both laughed at that. We were like, oh, we would make millions. You know what I mean? Because I loved pinning and I love Pinterest. So I did have a passion for it before I ended up becoming a Pinterest strategist. But yeah, so about 6 months in, I was working with Stacey Tushel at the time, and she was helping me with my mindset. And basically, I had said to myself, I would really love to niche down to just doing Pinterest. It was just an idea. It was a small idea that I didn't think was possible. And I just thought, no, who is going to hire me just for Pinterest? No. And then it was actually really funny because Stacey turned around to me and said, you realize that I'm one of your clients and I only have you for Pinterest. And I was like, yeah. I didn't realize that at the time. Like I had just,
I love it.
And she was like, I'm pretty sure there's more people like me out there. And I was like, yep, I'm willing to bet that there are. I just have to find them. So after a lot of bad mental thoughts and talking myself down and saying how there's no way, what if this, it literally must have been about a month going backwards and forwards fighting this decision. I eventually decided to niche down, and I was like, you know what? I just got to go with it. And I was like, you've always got something that you can do. That's the thing. It doesn't matter what you do in your business. There is always an avenue for you to take, whether you go back to doing Facebook marketing or like we were just chatting earlier on a different call, if Pinterest completely just stopped and they were gone, I wouldn't be out of business. I wouldn't be out of business because I have skills more than just Pinterest. You know what I mean? So yes. You have to have that mindset, but it's hard.
So you are hitting on something so huge with this audience, because every single person at every single level doubts themselves, thinks that they're the only ones who have ever had these doubts, and that they're having these doubts because this is a sign that they should not continue. And then they fight and wrestle with that. They're like, no, but I can. And then they go back and forth, and it's completely normal. And so now what do you do about it? So what did you do to finally push through and say, I'm going to do it? What was there? Was there a switch? Was there a method? Was something you can share? Because I think we're all leaning in with this one.
I know. And it was hard. It was really hard. But I basically had to talk through it, and I had to stop myself. I basically had to listen to what other people were saying and stop my negative thoughts and say, would I say this to someone else going through the same situation?
Oh my gosh, totally.
You know, because if I was guiding someone else in this, like someone who was a couple of steps behind me, would I be saying, you're never going to find a client by niching down? You know what I mean?
Like, no, you would never say that, right? You're never going to find it.
You're never going to say that.
It's ludicrous. And when you say it out loud, you're like, that is absolute nuts. And of course, that's not true. But we believe it when it's in our heads. So to say it out loud, to talk it out, is so helpful.
I know. And it's crazy. And the one thing that I ended up doing was I just listened to people who were further ahead than me, I basically got guidance. So I did go to Lila at that point. I went to Stacy. I was talking with them, and they were both ahead of me in business at the time. So I didn't just leave it up to my own knowledge. I kind of did the research. I asked them, and they gave me guidance. So it was really good to have people that I could just message and be like, this is what I'm thinking. You know, what do you think? And they were able to really help me over those hurdles. And then my husband was huge. He also works for himself. So he was like, oh my goodness, just, you know, and he literally walked me through every step as well and kept reminding me, you're capable of doing this. This is what you're going to be able to do. You've already done it. You didn't have clients for social media when you started. You know, all the things that you forget to remind yourself about. So definitely having biz besties and people who will support you is probably... Yeah, the best way to figure that out. But anyway, so at that point, I eventually decided I was going to dive in and I was going to niche down purely to Pinterest. So I had quite a few clients at that point that I'd built up, and I was really nervous that I was going to lose them all. But I was like, you know what? Even so, there are more people out there who need this service, and I will find them. And so I just said, let me go for it. And I sent them the email. And I worded it, because I'd built relationships with people, right. I'd worded it how I would talk. I didn't try and do it professionally or be anything other than just me telling them what my desires and my dreams are for my business. And I explained, this is how Pinterest is going to help you. So I gave them like logical, factual, answers and answering their questions really as to why they should move just to Pinterest with me. I laid out my package very clearly and explained why it was worth it and things like that and what it would do for them. And everyone except for one switched over to just Pinterest. And I was like,
and all your fears went.
And so to also give people some perspective here, I threw the guidance from my biz besties at that point and my coaches and things like that. That said, so you're going to niche down and you're going to raise your prices at the same time. Mm-hmm. So what I was charging for all the social media, I had to charge for Pinterest alone and then still raise the price. And to me, it literally just blew my mind. I couldn't imagine doing that. And so I sent the email and walked away. Just leave. You know what I mean?
I love it. But because of the work and the relationship that you'd already done, it was an easy yes for them.
Yeah. And they knew that I'd gotten them results on all the other platforms so far. And I had been working on their Pinterest accounts, and they knew that now being able to focus on their Pinterest accounts, I could do more for them. And they saw what Pinterest could become because they saw the knowledge I had for it and things like that. So yeah, I just built from there. And at that point, I obviously transitioned into just managing accounts for Pinterest. And then obviously once you take one step, you just get this desire to take more steps forward.
Because one-on-one, you can't scale that. So what do?
Exactly. So what do? You create some different levels, your tripwire, your courses, your programs, offerings, teachings, all these kind of things. So obviously I didn't do that all at once.
Right, exactly. It all takes time.
It does. And I took one step at a time. And the first step was just saying, build a small community on Facebook. So put up a Facebook page, create a Facebook group, share the knowledge that you have, because there are people who want that, who aren't ready to take action on a monthly package or anything.
Right.
And then once you've done that, it was like, okay, take the next step. Now make a sales page for a smaller package, like a done for you, a done with you, and like a DIY. So those were the steps that I was suggested to create. So I created the done for you, which was just my management. Done with you was a coaching call, Pinterest audit strategy. And then the DIY, this took a while, but after building it up to this point, I was able to create a program, so a Pinterest course. And then master classes and all kinds of goodness have developed from there. So yeah, it really.
And it all started with the idea.
It did. It all started with the idea. And I think also what's been really great in this journey that I've enjoyed probably the most is the fact that every time I've taken one step forward, I've learned more about myself and what I love and what I like, the skills that I have, and that it's more than you can ever imagine. Like, you always think this is what I can do, and it's like in this little bubble. And then you challenge yourself to step out and create something you've never done before. I'd never created an email list. I'd never created an opt-in. I'd never created a course. I'd never created a masterclass webinar. You name all these different things. But as you take one step, you get like encouraged to take the next. And so my mom's a teacher, and I always say to myself, okay, again, this is so funny. I'll never be a teacher. And then the funny thing is, through this whole process, by having clients and being booked out, I wasn't able to help more people at that point as well. So I was like, there must be a way for me to help more people. And so I started answering questions. And then again, you can't answer emails all day with questions. So create a Facebook Live or create something where you can teach people in this way. And as I've gone through this process, I have realized that, yeah, I love teaching. Like, I was like, I know that I ran away from it so long because I was a teacher's kid. And so you had to stay at school until like 5 p.m. every day. You know, all those ridiculous things that made you like say, I'll never be a teacher. And then it turns out that teaching's in your blood and you absolutely love it.
And you're actually phenomenal at it. You have such great results, right, with your course. I mean, and anybody who's working with you one-on-one, of course, but you've offered these different levels. So right now, after this amazing journey, and again, if you're listening live or on the replay, say hello and let us know. Have you also been on a long, winding road? Have you been on a journey that started out with one step and then you thought, this is as good as it's going to get, and then it gets better, or it's a twist or a turn and a pivot? Let us know below. We want to hear from you. And of course, you know, Catherine's story is our theme song, right? The women in the online space, the women entrepreneurs. You know, it's okay to pivot and change, and we only get better. So what are you most excited about right now, Catherine? You got to tell us.
So the thing that I'm most excited about right now is, so you've obviously heard that this is all developed into teaching and realizing that I love teaching and that I love helping people. And so I've created a program called the Pinterest Game Plan, which is basically, the name fits perfectly with what it is. It is a game plan for you to use Pinterest for your business. So it really covers everything, like a football game. Like if your coach was trying to really take you through how to become the best football player you could be, you have a game plan. And so I've given you the game plan for Pinterest in this program. And so I'm really excited because one thing that I learned as I created this program and launched it and things is my favorite part. And I did this for the first group of students, because the founding members basically, because I was like, I want to give something extra, especially since they joined in the beginning. And so I did weekly group coaching to go with it. And I'd never done that before. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. The students loved it. And I was like, I can't imagine the program without it. You know, and like, but these are only things that you learn as you start developing different parts of your business and growing different areas. And so I realized, like, I don't just want it to be a DIY program. I want it to be the DIY portion, which is the program, the 8-module course with 6 weeks of group coaching, because it takes it deeper. And I know, like, Renee, you're the same as me. We love connecting with people. And I've got that EQ going on, like emotional, like I love connecting with people, and I love finding out more about their businesses and their stories. And so that's what I'm most excited about now, is I have that program out, and it's just basically a combination of everything that I've learned over 4 years in Pinterest and everything that I've done for my clients. So I've worked with people like Caitlin Batcher, Mariah Cos from the Femtrepreneur, all of these great clients, and I've been able to build their Pinterest profile. So I basically taken the strategies, all of that, and put it into this Pinterest game plan. And yeah, we're actually doing weekly group coaching. We do it on a Tuesday. So I just got off a call earlier today and it fires me up. I don't know if like you're the same. I'm just like, I love calls with people. It really, yeah.
Yes. I look forward to my group coaching calls so much. I love them. We actually are in each other's courses. So she's in my course, I'm in her course. So first, and Catherine, please make sure you put the links to your course and how people can find out more about it, whatever that means, a masterclass, a webinar, a sales page, because I know that if they're gonna listen to this, they're gonna be keen to find out more, because your story, how you explain things, it speaks so clearly to your mission, and I don't know anybody that wouldn't want to be on board with that.
Oh, thank you so much.
So by all means, please, guys, if you are listening to this, make sure you click those links. So Catherine, woman just starting out, she's come to the online space, she has a certain skill set, she's open to the journey, she wants to learn more, she's a lifelong learner, she's not really sure what her future holds, but she knows she's back, that you can say, if you could give yourself that advice 4 years ago when you were just starting out online, what would you say?
Well, I love that question, because I think, especially once you've been doing this for a while, you are like, there's so much. But at the same time, one of the things that I think the best advice that I could give if you're starting out on this journey is to be flexible with not with your goals, but with your business. Be flexible with the direction that it's going in. So you don't have to say yes to every opportunity and burn yourself out. You don't have to be everything. You don't have to be perfect. And I know that as women as well, like our biggest struggle is mom guilt, it's wife guilt, it's woman guilt, it's whatever guilt we can find, we will take on.
My goodness. Yes. Hashtag guilt. Give me all guilt. Oh my God, I was just talking about that. Love it. So yes, if you can relate, tag it in. Hashtag guilt.
Exactly. So one of the biggest things is just to actually realize that this is like the scariest journey, probably one of them that you're going to go on, and the best, because you're going to test yourself and challenge yourself, and you're going to continuously be in waters that you are treading, and you're thinking, where do I go from here? What do I do? And you always think that people who are further along, they have it together. And to give you an idea, just this morning, I'm sitting thinking, I'm so behind. What am I going to do? Oh my goodness, I'm so bad at what I do. I'm a terrible person. Always like everything that you're feeling, I'm feeling. Everything that I'm feeling, Renee is feeling. Everything that Renee is feeling, someone else, James Wedmore, everybody. It doesn't matter where you are in business. I'm pretty sure everybody has this kind of guilt, this feeling, this struggle. So the best thing that I can tell you to do is really every single day is just to take 10 minutes to reframe your mindset and to make sure that you are saying to yourself a couple of things that you've done amazingly. So just like basically the gratitude, it's all about mindset, and looking at where you've been, where you've come, what you've learned, and telling yourself that you're capable and that you can figure out anything you want to figure out. That you don't, just because you don't have a degree, like we spoke about earlier, doesn't mean you can't do that thing. I didn't know how to use CorelDRAW and design images. I figured it out. I didn't know how to edit videos. I figured it out. Everything's figure outable. That's the Marie Forleo term. Hey.
Love it.
Yeah, and it's so true. And so as you're starting this journey, I think like that is, and I know they speak about this with millionaires as well, and big business people, and like Bill Gates, they all have to work on their mindset, because that's the one thing that is going to hold you back in business. The fear of stepping out and sending that message. We were just talking about the how to get clients in 7 days, and things like that. And you were saying we need to put out a poll in a Facebook group. You know how hard it is to put a poll out in someone else's Facebook group when your mindset is playing tricks on you and working against you and saying, who am I to do this? And all these other people can post in the group, but and it's going to take you an hour and a half to write that one post because you're freaking out. And it'll take you an hour and a half in the beginning, but keep doing it, keep going ahead. Because in a year from now, it'll take you 10.
Set the timer. Set the timer because then you force yourself to do it in that time. Just
Exactly.
like you do with your email. Press, click, walk away.
Walk away. Walk away, exactly. And then the other thing that is so important is for you to just, before you dive in to anything, is to stop and to look at everything that's available to you and to decide what is the best way to use my time and where to focus it. Because in the beginning, when you're a one-woman show, you can't do everything. You can't be on every single social media platform. You can't be on every single course platform, website platform, everything. There's just too many options. And so you have to whittle it down to, where am I going to focus in the beginning? And I know that for me, I focused in on Facebook groups and building a Facebook page. I didn't have a website. I didn't have any of that, and I was booked out. I didn't
Same way, exactly. I say this all the time. People think, oh no, I have to have a website to seem legit. You are legit. You're already legit. You don't have to prove it to anyone. You already know it. You already know your stuff. You already are someone who's going to work hard and come through. So just show up and give them what they need.
Exactly. Answer the questions. Be there. And that's exactly it. It's you're not going to have all of those different things, and you can't do them all at once. Like, I can tell you that since the beginning of the year, it is now May, if I'm right. Yeah, it does go very fast. I have been telling myself to put up a sales page for one of my packages. It's not up there. Okay. It's still not up there. It's on the list. Yeah, it's in here. But I've been able to sell that package because I know that I can connect with the right people in a certain way. And I know that I will eventually get it up there, but I have to focus my time on the most profitable and most focused areas that are going to help me connect with people, the right people, and get my business moving forward. Mm-hmm. And eventually you can put up things to scale that and to do different things. But in the beginning, it's just about taking those steps, but also, again, not getting overwhelmed, because I know when I started out, I was on Twitter, Instagram, this with my baby clothing business. I was on every social media channel, and I could have spent every single day on every single one because there's just so much. There's just so much. So just choose one or two social media platforms, marketing platforms, whatever it is. Choose your direction and stick with that for the first little bit until you're ready to jump into something else. Because, overwhelm, right? Besides mindset, then there's overwhelm. Yeah. We get ahead of ourselves and we think, and then we just go into this like spiral of just not good thoughts. So it really goes in. Exactly. I was just listening to a podcast by Zach Spuckler from Heart Soul Hustle. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
He's from Toledo, which is like close to where I live. I don't know if he lives there anymore. Probably San Diego. Somewhere fancy. But he did a fantastic podcast episode about courses. And so I'm obviously launching my course, and I'm on to my third launch at this point. And it's growing. Each launch is growing, which I'm really grateful for and I'm really excited about. But I am looking at people who are way ahead of me. They've been launching for 4 years already, like a program. Now, I've been working on Pinterest for 4 years, but I'm only like launching this course for the third time now. You know what I mean? Like in a year. It's not even a year old at this point. And so like these people have been doing for so long. So I keep looking there, and we can always keep looking forward, because you should. You look at people ahead of you, but you start to think to yourself, you're not there. You should be there. And I was making myself feel absolutely terrible. And until I watched his or listened to his podcast, and he was talking about course launches and what you can expect. And I was like, thank you for being honest. Thank you for being like the one entrepreneur who was super honest about what courses look like, course launches or product launches, client launches, whatever it is. He was like, you're first going to have your first $500 to $1,000 launch. And that means 1 or 2 sales. You know what I mean? And then he's like, and then you're going to move up to this. And then you're going to move up to this. And I was like, that makes sense, because it's like a Facebook group. It's like an email list. You don't just jump to 10,000 email subscribers. No.
You know?
So comparisonitis. Who here suffers from comparisonitis? Oh, me all the time. It's conscious that I have to push it. It's a conscious effort to be like, breathe, Renee, because, right? Like, same thing. I'm always looking at like, oh, they're doing this. And then I'm like, okay, wait, we're doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Imposter syndrome, right? I have a whole section on that inside my course. It's so true. It's like, oh, we get swimming in our heads. I'm so glad you're bringing this up because it's so you're going to touch the hearts of so many people. Then we're like, oh my God.
It's because it's the things that you go through. I think also with all of this, doesn't matter what level of business you're at, what product you're launching, it doesn't matter if this is probably 6 years from now and I'm still launching this program and it's an improved program and I'm doing all of this. And 6 years from now, I have a launch. I'm still going to be having the same mindset things, the same comparisonitis, all these different things. I'm going to be comparing myself. I'm going to be just everything. And so you have to be reminded, even right from the beginning, that this is going to happen. But you just have to keep coming back because sometimes, like you say, you can spiral. And that's so dangerous sometimes because it can last a long time if you let it.
Yeah. And that's why you need biz besties. You need a coach or a mentor, someone that can like identify, pull you out and be like, whew, shake you off, dry you off, dust you off, and be like, okay, let's go.
It's kind of like slap across the face, up, out, walk it off.
I think that person helps reflect what we truly have inside of us. It is so hard. It's so hard. We cannot see ourselves every day. Like you said, you were like before this, you were like, oh my God, what do I do? I mean, there's days when I'm like, what am I even teaching? What do I even know?
Who's even listening to me?
Nobody cares. Exactly. And you know what? Some days nobody does. So that's okay. But what people will tell you and what I would tell you or anyone else is people do care. People do need you. You've been called to this for a reason. Let's share. It's our moral obligation to share what we have, free and otherwise. So
and at some point, the greatest thing is once you get to a point where you have a large enough community, you start getting emails from people and you like before you didn't get these, but then you send out an email and you think, to your email list or you send out a Facebook Live and you think people watched it, they loved it, etc., etc. And then 2 days later, you get an email in your inbox about how it's changed someone's life. And it was nothing to do with business. It may have just been you sharing your story. And you're like, you just want to cry. Yeah. You just want to cry because you're thinking, wow, okay, this is why I'm doing this, or a client comes to you and they say, you have no idea what impact you've made, or this has been absolutely amazing. And you were telling yourself, I literally just had this. I was like, oh, this isn't performing how I wanted to perform. And the client came back, I'm absolutely loving everything that you're doing. This is performing better than I expected. And I was like, like, and you just want to, And so this is also earlier. And that's because we're so much harder on ourselves than anybody else will be.
Totally. Oh my
so a
God.
good reminder. I'm just going to leave a little tidbit here for everybody else. If you ever get the opportunity to send a kind word to anybody who you admire, whether Renee's done a Facebook Live or anybody that you admire has done something, just send them a message saying how much it meant to them because you have no idea how that's changing their lives as the business owner. Yeah. It truly is phenomenal.
We don't hear the good enough, even when it's right in front of us. Agreed. Oh, Catherine, thank you so much for coming and sharing and spending this time. Everyone who listens to this, I think they're going to say, oh, thank gosh, it's not just me. And they see you and you're like, doing all this and you've got this course and you've got all this laid out. And to them, you're their Marie Forleo, right? Like you're their Amy Porterfield. And it's hard for you to hear right now. You're like, oh gosh, no. That's how it goes. So thank you so much for coming on and thank you so much for sharing. And I can't wait to see and hear all the amazing stories that come out of this interview. So thank you so much for coming on.
You are so welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
So for those of you listening, please, whether it's live or on the replay, say hello. Tell us where you are on the planet. Tell us a little bit about you and tell us, can you relate to this story? And tell us maybe where we can reach out and find you and hear about your story. So thank you so much. Have a great day. Hasta luego.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.